Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mention It All podcast. I am so thrilled to be joined here for the summer by one of our newest Bravo Lebs from Next Gen NYC. She's an influencer, content creator, model, and of course now a Bravo celebrity, Emira D'Spain.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
It's like 96 degrees today.
And it's so hot.
I love the outfit,
Thank
the
you.
boots, the denim.
Southern Belle.
The Labubu is in the room with us.
Yes. Mary.
How's your summer going so far?
My summer's good. It's been very busy, but it's really good. I feel like summer's the busiest time for me work-wise.
Okay.
Which is like very counterintuitive because I like want to relax, but at the same time, it's like clocking in, mama.
You're like working in the summer is not the fantasy.
No, it's not giving the fantasy that I signed up for.
I feel like your whole vibe kind of is like the fantasy. And so you have to balance like the hustle with
I have
the
to balance it. I gotta serve. Can I cuss on that?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
You got to serve what now?
I gotta serve.
This show, Next Gen NYC, has been on for like 4 weeks now. So we're getting our toes are wet.
Oh yes.
We're in maybe like up to the
calf deep.
up to the knee. I don't know.
We're knee deep.
How's it going for you so far?
It's going really well. I really am very happy with how everything's coming out so far. Like, it was honestly just so much fun to film it, and like watching it back now, it's like so entertaining to like relive the same moments. But it was so long ago sometimes that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't remember that. But I'm like, that's so crazy that happened. I like forgot. Yeah.
Doing it for the first time, that experience of
Yes.
like, okay, we're reliving this with extra commentary and
yeah.
also stuff I wasn't there for. It's like, okay, it's a 360 experience.
Full 360. And like, I am so used to being in control of my content. So,
Yeah.
like, I do beauty content and stuff. And like, it's so crazy not having any control over it. And I was talking to Kyle and Amanda from Summer House, and I was like, how do I not cringe watching myself? Like, that's the one thing that I'm like, I can't hear my own voice. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's crazy because I've been doing content for like 5 years, but it's like such a different world.
Right. And I wanted to ask you about that. Like, you have been doing, how long have you been really like doing social media?
I've been doing social media for like 5 years, but like full time for 4.
Okay. So you've been like around the block a few times.
Oh, she's been around the block, honey.
You've had a lot of different experiences, obviously, like professionally, events
Yeah.
and campaigns and partners and stuff. Like going into an experience like this where for the first time you're really like handing over the literal camera to
Yeah.
someone else and being like, okay, like do with this what you will, and then I'll see the finished product. What was that like for you deciding to jump into this?
You know, I think when I first decided to join the cast and be part of this, I didn't really think about that. Like, I was kind of just like, I want to hang out with my friends. I want to like do cool things. And like, this just sounds like a cool opportunity to like live our lives. And yeah, I like really didn't even think about the whole difference between me filming my own stuff versus having like, you know, the whole Bravo team with us. But it was really cool. I've had such an incredible experience.
Have you noticed, obviously, like you have a career that is like in the public eye on social media. Now you're on a TV show. I imagine you're getting kind of like a new influx of people searching your name and finding your videos and everything. Like, have you noticed kind of any shift in the type of feedback or comments or whatever that you're receiving?
I feel like people are now more invested in my life. And before it was kind of just like, oh, like teach us how to do this beauty thing, or like, how do you put on a lash? I don't know.
Yeah.
And now it's like give us a closet tour, bitch. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, okay, I guess. Damn, calm down.
Yeah. It's
but
good.
I love it.
It's good to have people like requesting things though, because that means they're invested.
They're invested, and I love it. I'm like, this is so cool.
I was on TikTok the other day just scrolling, and on my For You page you were live and it like popped up.
Oh my God, yes.
And I was like, oh, I'm talking to her on Monday, like let me just like hang out here for a few minutes and see like what's the vibe. And it's so interesting because the comments are a mix of people who have known you forever from TikTok, people who just found you 2 weeks ago on TV and are like, hi, like, what is this? And then people who on TikTok are just like tumbleweed. They're like, who's this girl?
Yeah, literally.
What show?
Yeah, I've seen those.
It's such a funny like cross section of the internet where there's people that are like, oh my God, like your curling iron is iconic. Like, how do you get the curls right? And then there's people that are like, do you think Gia is nice?
Yeah. It is crazy. It's such a like, I feel like my audience on TikTok especially is kind of like a lot younger. And I think that like the Bravo audience are people like my age or like even older. And it's like, there's such different types of content or like different types of like, I guess, brains that are like asking things. So yeah, I don't know. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's funny with this show in particular because you have the element of the Housewives kids.
Yeah.
There's all these Housewives fans that are like, oh, I watched Kim and Candy on Atlanta 15 years ago. Let me check this out. And then there's people that are like, more around your age or even younger. So it's like, it is kind of this like cross generation, next gen, I guess. Literally.
Baby.
What was your level of familiarity with the Housewives world prior to doing this?
So I only ever really watched Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay. I feel like I didn't know the other ones really existed because I didn't really watch that much reality TV growing up. But I also didn't watch that much TV in general. So I would kind of just like, if it was on, I would watch it. But then I, when I like met the other cast members, I instantly recognized who their parents were because like internet culture, it's like even if I've never sat down and watched the show, of course I know all the memes with like their parents. And,
it's so funny watching people be like, oh, who's Gia? And it's like, oh, waking up in the morning. And it's like, oh my God, that's like
exactly
actually went so far and wide that people that have never heard of Housewives don't know Teresa at all. It's like, oh yeah, waking up in the morning, that's her.
You're like that girl, the waking up in the morning girl. Yeah. She's like, what?
That was like her views for the year in one day.
Crazy.
The cast is a very like interesting mix of backgrounds with reality TV, not reality TV, native New Yorkers, people who have moved to the city at various times. Ariana moved to the city yesterday.
Literally yesterday.
What was it like kind of starting to get that group to gel together when you were filming, like incorporating all those different backgrounds?
I feel like New York is in general such a like melting pot like that. So it didn't feel inorganic that so many people had so many different backgrounds, like Gia coming in from Jersey, Ariana moving here recently, like Riley finishing school and then like staying here, and like she travels so much. And I feel like people who don't live in New York may not understand that that's just like the norm. Like I can name like 50 people off the top of my head who moved here yesterday. I can name like, it's like, that's like just like how New York goes. Like people who are like coming in and out.
Like also living in New York, watching the show, there is an authenticity to the like, oh, like Gia's out in Jersey, like, oh, I have to go to Brooklyn, like, Ariana's sending Brooks apartment links and he's like, you can't live there. Like it is like, there is like everybody, obviously there are lots of different, walks of life in New York, but the idea that where you live and where you hang out and who you surround yourself with, like it really is almost like a choose your own adventure.
Fully.
And I feel like this show, like it's interesting to see that kind of represented in a bunch of different ways.
Totally. And I feel like it's so cool because the audience then can choose their own adventure, right? Like if you want to follow like Gia's journey into like how she's like balancing between being in Jersey and like the city, it's like that's cool to watch. If you're like, for example, someone who lives in Jersey and you're like thinking about moving into the city, like that's a whole adventure for you to follow along versus like I've lived here for almost 8 years. Like that's another adventure to then follow along,
Yeah.
Like that's cool that the audience can see that.
Yeah, and then there's like the city kid kind of vibe, which is like a whole other...
The downtown grungy divas.
I'm wondering for you, I feel like with like the rise of like content creation and like being an influencer as like a real career path, a lot of people don't quite understand like everything that's involved with that. And I'm curious for you with this group or maybe just like in your life in general, do you feel like sometimes you have to kind of like clarify for people that it's like, oh no, I'm like, this is like I'm like doing this for work.
Like as a job.
This is real.
Yeah. I feel like with this group, like all of my friends that are cast members, like we all understand one another's jobs so well, even if like, let's say like Brooks isn't creating the same amount of content that I am every single day, but like he still knows how much work goes into it and isn't going to be like annoyed if I have to like reschedule a plan or something. Versus my other friends, I have a lot of friends that don't work in this industry whatsoever that I just went to school with because I went to NYU. Those people may not understand it, right? Like my friends who work in like finance or something, they're going to be like, well, just like post your video later, bitch. And I'm like, no, like I'm contractually obligated to do this,
Yeah, it's like I mean there are a lot of different levels because it's like there are days where it's like, yeah, it's cool that my job is to like go to an event,
but like at the end of the day it's a job. Like,
exactly.
I was just in Cannes for Cannes Lion, the most stressed I've ever been in my life. Like the most beautiful place on earth, but like I was working, like I was fully like up at 6 a.m. every single morning in full glam, like ready to go to like meetings and interviews and like lunches, and like that's like work, you know. And yes, I would go out and like kiki with the girls after, but I was clocked in. Yeah,
like it's like you have to be doing well at the work part of it to get to do the play part of it along with that.
Yeah.
And then this cast, it's interesting because like there's people who are, you know, just figuring out if they want to have careers, what those careers might look like. That is like such a New York thing where like watching Charlie, who's like 29 years old, be like, I don't know. Is work like a thing that I feel like
want to do that
I want to do?
Yeah.
It is like, it's interesting. And I'm wondering for you, like knowing that you're kind of out here, like hustling, finding that next thing, like what is it like when you're kind of interacting with people that have all these different types of career situations?
I feel like other people have always never really held any weight to like the level of, I guess, ambition that I have. Like I have immigrant parents. They're very strict and they're very like, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer or like a God knows what, like you're not slaying. I had to literally convince them, hey, I want to quit my job as an editor to do content full time. And they were like, okay, fine. But like, I feel like I have established myself in this industry by how hard I work and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. It's very different. I like can't judge other people. It's like, it's a completely different growing up experience. So I have no like qualms with them living their lives. Like if I could just sit on my ass and kiki and party all day, I would.
Yeah. I feel like you sort of like stood on that a little bit in the most recent episode at Chloe's birthday party when Ariana's talking about wanting to do a clothing line, wanting to design, and Ava's reaction is kind of like, her fashion?
Yeah.
Huh? And you were kind of like, I don't know, like let her live. Like what let
her live.
What's the issue here?
I feel like no one should judge someone else, especially on like a business standpoint. Like if your friend is launching a business or something and it may not be like your taste or like your liking, like you should still just be supportive no matter what.
I think that's something too, like in this kind of era that we're in where people can like, you know, grow a following and monetize that and start a business or whatever. It's like, you don't need everyone in the world to be
a fan.
Right. You don't need to be like Oprah Winfrey to have a successful business. Like you can have your corner of the internet that is like behind you and do well enough with that set of people that it's like, okay, like my clothing line maybe isn't for Ava Dash.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, I think this group has a lot of that energy. And I think like that comes along too with being a housewives kid sometimes, is that there is that like judgment placed on like, oh, like
what knowledge do you have in that field to be able to do something like that? Yeah. And I feel like that's maybe where it was coming from Ava. Even if it was unintentional, I feel like it might have been like a little bit of a like, well, what knowledge do you have about the fashion space to do that? But at the same time, it's like, this is your friend who's launching something or is like thinking about launching something. You should just be supportive no matter what.
Yeah.
And like, maybe you can critique along the way, like as things come out or as like, you know, she's starting to do samples and things, then you can give your input.
Right. See the clothes first and then decide they're ugly.
Like, give it a chance, mama.
Right. It's like, no, like I saw the clothes and they were trash.
Damn. Like
that could be like a season 2 conversation.
Yeah.
Like
then if we get there, then you can say something.
Like she just put her deposit down, let her move in.
Yeah. She's still unpacking. Let her live.
It is interesting. Like you guys filmed this like about a year ago, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's funny to watch like and think about in real time that it's like, I saw, you know, Ariana, your guys' premiere, and she came on the show and it's like, oh, she's like lived here for a year now. And, you know, seeing people's relationships and thinking about the way that things develop, like what do you feel like has kind of changed in your life or maybe in like the life of the group since filming?
I feel like a lot of friendships since we wrapped filming have like evolved and blossomed. I feel like as a cast, we've definitely become a lot closer. We've like hung out off camera multiple times all together. And I feel like Ariana and I have gotten super close and our boyfriends have gotten really close too. And I feel like that's been my favorite part that's come out of the show. I feel like Gia and I have also gotten really close. And I don't know. It's been really cool to watch all these other friendships blossom too.
Ariana's like really cool.
I love her so much.
I think people are kind of like surprised by her vibe on the show because they're just used to seeing like her mom and her as a little kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like she's like a
girl's girl.
She's funny.
Like, yeah. She's like such a like, she's so likable.
Yeah. And it makes sense, I think, to have somebody on the show who is that almost like looking like brand new to the city, looking around like I just dropped my bags yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's kind of a good like entry point into like, okay, tell me where Brooklyn is.
Well, exactly. Especially for the audience who doesn't know the city. Like it's like cool to then follow that along. It's again, like you were saying, choose your own adventure.
Mm-hmm. I know that you couldn't make it to Gia's party a couple episodes ago, but I feel like that was one of the more dramatic kind of arcs so far this season was the stuff with Riley and Charlie and that conversation about like microaggressions and all of that. I assume you kind of heard some of that through the grapevine.
Oh yeah.
What was it like watching the episode and kind of getting the like full perspective?
You know, I think that sometimes people say things that they don't mean, and they say things without knowing the connotation that it's attached to. Mm-hmm. And I think someone like Charlie may not have been as educated in that space. That's not an excuse for him to act that way, but I also think that when someone's telling you that something made them feel a certain way or something made them act like, you know, like it hurt your feelings or whatever it may be, that I feel like alone should be enough for you to then apologize and make good and such. Yeah,
I think that also totally agree. And I think you're also seeing a little bit of a learning curve with like, obviously like becoming friends with more people, but also like doing a show like this for the first time. It's like, hey, like if you apologize and then you go 5 feet away and say that the apology was fake,
cannot.
Everybody watching the show is going
like,
to think you're a loser. Like,
well, that's just like crazy. That's like diabolical.
Right. It's like, girl, wait till tomorrow at least.
I mean, like, again, I feel like some things like that, it's like unintentional, but at the same time, it's pointed and it's like done with, it's not necessarily done maliciously, but it's done with like ego in top priority of being like, okay, my ego needs to be protected. Yeah, I only apologized. Like it was fake.
Well, and I think also like when that would be like a, you know, not a great thing to do, like just IRL to a friend.
Yeah.
But that especially when you're on a show like this, it's like things are going to get picked apart. You're going to get feedback on social media from the viewers, from the fans, whatever. Like you do have to put like a little bit of an extra layer of thought into some of your choices if you don't want to be just
perceived
like the villain.
Way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What was your kind of, I know you were talking about kind of like it was the first time that you weren't in control of how something was being portrayed. Were you kind of thinking at all about like what you wanted your like role on the show or in the group to be?
Not really. I feel like I naturally kind of fall into the same role in a lot of my friend groups where I'm kind of just like the mediator a lot of the times, where I feel like I'm the like, I don't know, I'm a Libra, so I'm like always trying to do like the balance thing. So I feel like that's always been my role in like every friendship. And I never really thought about like my role within this friend group. So no, but I feel like naturally and you'll see later on in the season too, like I kind of do fall into that role. So yeah.
I think also like something that I've noticed, because I've followed you for a while on like TikTok and stuff, and I feel like you sort of have this like air of mystery about your life a little bit, where it's like, I mean, you're on live and it's like, get ready with me for sugar daddy's funeral, or like you're talking about like coming from oil money or whatever, and it's like, I think on the show like you can't quite do that.
Yeah, you have to give it all.
Even just seeing like you and your boyfriend having like a normal ass conversation together, it's like, okay, like we're kind of like seeing a little bit of a different vibe.
I feel like that was always hard for me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like while we were filming, and you'll see later on in the season, I like how like get more and more like involved and stuff. But I feel like I was so afraid of that for a while. And of course my schedule was crazy, but I was so afraid of like not being in control that I was like trying, like hiding myself a little bit, you know, but it's crazy. My audience has never seen anything like that, like me doing that type of stuff. So
I was dying at him pronouncing Prada like it rhymes with Barada.
I know.
You're like, wait, sorry, what?
It's like, Kevin.
We gotta, you know, we need like the ABCs of of
I love
Emira's
him
world.
so much, but he thought I invented the word chic. Like, he
Okay.
thought that I came up with that word, that I just made that up. And
You're
I was
like-
like, no, the word chic is a thing.
It's like, wow, babe, this
That's
like
so
trend
chic.
has gotten so big that you came up with of chic.
I cannot.
Oh my God, think how rich you would be if you invented the word chic.
Like, that'd be crazy.
Trademark.
I would be so chic. I'm so far from chic, so.
I love that. No, I think like when you're, it's interesting thinking about the idea of like drama in the influencer space because people love like a feud on social media, the like, you know, the NYC influencer discourse or whatever.
But it's so different.
Yeah.
It's like you can hide behind your screen, and the drama from our show, it's like you're forced to confront your friends face to face as you would in a real friend group. I mean, this is a real friend group, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we all have actual relationships with one another, that it's like, it's not just like two influencers beefing over a boy, you know?
Have you been in like a influencer beef?
I have a long time ago.
I feel like you keep your side of the street pretty clean for the most part.
It actually, you know what? And it takes a lot to really piss me off. Like, I'm very level-headed, and I feel like it really takes someone like doing some type of crazy disrespect, and you'll see it later on in the show. But it takes a lot of disrespect to get me to like be like, okay, damn, like I gotta like unleash the dragon.
Well, I almost feel like when you're on TikTok, it's like so much of the time, if I find out about some drama that's happening, I find out from like the third layer of like somebody stitched, and
Story
then there's a
time.
story time and then an explainer and a trend, and the original video is deleted. So you're like digging through the like blue text searches to try and find like, what is anyone talking about? Whereas like on a show like this, it's like, oh yeah, like
You can rewind and see what you said.
right, it's literally, they're going to roll the footage back on you. Yeah, it's very different.
Very different. But I think it's cool. It's like, it's so different to be part of, but it's also so entertaining.
Yeah. And I think it's fun, like with the group on this show. I feel like there's a lot of different stuff going on. So I imagine that when you watch the episodes, it is kind of like, okay, like let me check, like, okay, like what's
I'm like, oh, that's what that was happening.
that scene that where Seth Marks and Charlie went out one-on-one, and Seth is giving him this spiel about life coaching. I was like, what planet are we on right now?
I cannot. The whole Marks family.
The Marks
I love them so
family.
much. They're so
Crazy.
iconic. They're insane.
Crazy in the best way.
I love it.
Just the Marks
The Marks
experience.
Yeah. The full Marks experience.
I love that. I think it's a fun show. What would you say to people who maybe are like, I think especially with the more like older, like seasoned Bravo audience, they're kind of like, what's this kid show? Like, what do you feel like is kind of like your pitch for like?
I would say give it a shot, because there's nothing like it on TV right now. And I think that it's so interesting because like we have had so many shows in the past about New York that were scripted or reality shows, but like nothing like this that's being present day, portraying not just like a young cast of people who live in New York, but New York itself. Like, I think it's so entertaining because New York is almost a character on its own. And I feel like that's so interesting to watch as someone who like may want to move here one day, or is like aspiring to live here, or is even just entertained by like anything New York related. Like, it's so interesting to watch the city and these people that live in it.
Yeah, I feel that. And I feel like there's a lot of like potential. Makes it sound like it sounds like bad, but it's like there's so many different ways it could go.
Totally.
Like watching this group and like people working on their stuff, it's like 3 years from now I could see this going so many different directions.
100%.
And that's exciting.
Very exciting. Very like a little nerve-wracking, because it's like it's fully in the control of like how we all, I guess, and Bravo like tells the story. And it's like, how are you going to like live your life? It's like that's what's going to be portrayed. So I don't know.
Is there anything for you that you feel like on the first season you were like hesitant to share or weren't as open about, that now you're like, oh wait, like this could have been cool, or like I wish I would have done more of this?
Yeah.
Like any kind of things like that?
I mean, honestly, my relationship, I feel like I keep that pretty private from TikTok, and honestly Instagram too. That's just not my type of content. I try to stick it to really just like beauty and like glow up tips and like feeling like a baddie and being hot and sexy. But I feel like sharing more about myself and not just being a talking head online has like kind of opened up my eyes to be like, okay, I'm not just here for like advice. Like I can also be like an entertaining person that people will want to watch because my life is interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that too, like I think like living in New York, it almost feels like you forget how
Yes.
even something like so simple as like,
going to Pilates and getting matcha in the morning. Like that's like some people would die to do that.
Yeah,
it's like living in New York.
I'll like random, like I'll be somewhere. I think about this sometimes when people complain about Times Square when they're like, oh my God, like it's the worst day of my life. I have to like set foot in Times Square. And it's like, sometimes it is. But then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like
I get to like see
somebody else would be like clicking with the camera 100 times because they finally got to see Times Square.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just like live here.
And we just like waltz right on over. Like that's crazy.
Maybe like, I don't know. I feel like next season could be fun.
I think it will be. I think the rest of the season is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a little bit more Emira. I know you were juggling a lot of things during filming, but I feel like the people want Emira.
The people want more. And that to me was like the craziest like realization when I started getting messages like that and seeing comments like that being like, we need more Emira, we need more Emira. You'll get it. But I was very, very stressed out. It was also, we were shooting this too during Pride. So I had a lot of like brand things, like brand commitments and stuff and like trips that I had to do. But now you'll see more and more and like it's really good.
You're like, okay, like give me a second. Let me breathe.
Like hang on guys, hang on.
No, we're easing our way in. Yes. The water is warm and it's gonna be a good time.
Yes, so good.
Well, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to rate, review, follow the show, subscribe, and until next time, be cool. Don't be all like uncool.